Uh, Gauri ma'am, we can start. We are live.
Okay. Yes. Thanks, Krish. We'll start. Hi. Hello, everybody. Sangeeta, hi. Thank you for sending your intention. Uh, I'll just put that up in the. Is it okay to share it on the chat box so people can read it? Yeah. No? I'll just. I am.
It was in response to the case that day we
Yes.
discussed.
Yes. I remember. Yeah. 1 second. I'm blundering around in this. Krish, where is the chat box gone?
There, down at the bottom, there will be an option among the
Yeah.
clickables.
Each time I
Yeah.
have to ask somebody and then 1 second. So I'm just going to put it here. The construct was I need to convey dash dash dash. I need to convey dash dash dash. If I avoid conveying this dash dash dash. So I've just put up Sangeeta's. Here it is. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So this is in the context of particularly Sangeeta has written this in the context of remember we were talking about when grown
Who has come back after his divorce.
yeah, in that case, yes, correct, and living in the person's house, and then we had looked at
The parents are senior citizens
yes,
and are not able to take the load.
correct, and we were trying to outline some rules of engagement now that this is this new way of being together, which is new for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think in that particular question we did get the feeling that the boy, the son, was being maybe because of whatever he's going through, pretty he was taking his parents for granted and being fairly insensitive to the situation that had come up and in which he had found himself and his parents had found themselves. No, and so I think this conveying is important, and which it'll keep coming up in all our Q&As. It's important to convey certain things in peacetime and not in wartime, not in the thick of some argument or some horribly awkward thing that comes up in the situation, but to see it in advance and spell it out so that there's a greater chance of it being taken in the right spirit more than anything else, and not just batted back to you. You also in that mode will speak in a more measured way, thought out way, than just responding and reacting to the situation. So today also at the end of the thing, so these little writing exercises are not necessarily related to the question, Q&A and the subject that we have tackled in that day's session, but they are sometimes larger things that one needs to revisit or relook at how one is going to interact. There are certain things which you are, instead of trying to change somebody, what do I change in my communication or in my way of thinking? That what do I need to position actually? Not stop doing, not saying I must keep my mouth shut and not open my mouth. Then there'll be no strife. It's not that. We're talking about repositioning our needs, is expressing them to our children or to our spouse or whoever it is with whom one is heading for a bit of a tangle. So, okay, let's go today into in today's question. Today's question was related to this week's theme is how do senior couples find ways to follow their own separate interests and circles without guilt or friction in your senior years. We're not talking about early years of marriage. We're talking about once you've entered, and I'll read out the question and you'll know why I'm saying. So Medha K writes, my husband and I began to have arguments and unpleasantness soon after the children left. We have read on empty nesters and the problems that crop up between the couple. So we did meet a counselor. She suggested that we develop some hobbies and circles and activities that are separate from each other. But somehow my husband does not take this suggestion well. I found it very useful to spend time away, to not be doing everything together, and chances for friction reducing. However, he feels left out and resentful and keeps threatening that then why not live completely separately? I sincerely do not want to live separately. She says, I sincerely do not want to live separately, but I have begun to enjoy my alone time with my friends and my circles, making a few new acquaintances also that are not couples, people from different age groups and walks of life. But now I feel my husband's resentment. How do I handle this? So this is the question of being together and apart. How to be together and yet apart without, and both of you managing to be on the same page. It looks to me like Medha has taken what the counselor, if they were having, marital discord after their children left, she's taken the counselor's suggestion uh, quite seriously and proceeded to broad base her interactions instead of just being sarpatakna on each other. The husband has interpreted this as, oh wow, you are now just getting on without me. He's taking it very personally, not able to see that this could well be a good way to then be, there's a new word everybody's using, very good word actually, then to be intentional when you're with each other. Having not there by default. Have when I first heard this word, we talked about this before, I think in a session. When I first heard this word, I thought, what is the meaning of intentional? Of course, we are all intentional. No, certain things in old marriages, for example, just fall into place and fall into a groove without it being discussed at all. This thing, should we continue doing this way, or is there some other way to do this? And I think in early years of marriage, middle years of marriage, while you are somebody's parent, you are somebody's boss, you're somebody's employee, you're somebody's daughter, you're somebody's son, your work and your social associations get defined almost by default. You have roles to play. And you're clearly also a couple. The world is functioning with you as mostly as a couple. And while you may divide some of the work and home responsibilities and even the enjoyment factor, maybe, father is the one who takes the kids out for ice cream, mother is the one who does homework, whatever it is, you are still functioning as a couple. There are problems also in those marriages which go, not that they're brushed aside, there's almost no time to address them because there is so much demand of ghar grahasti, what we call. And it just goes on the back burner because every day is a new day and every family demand, social demand has to be answered, met and done. And then you go home, the sun sets on that day, and that niggling, whatever things are, remain unaddressed. And those are likely to really come up, fizzing up like a, poured bottle of soda, fizzing to the top when the decks have been cleared of those kind of duties, parenting, or you have seniors who you're looking after, retirement, all of this creates that vacuum in which all kinds of unaddressed things can come sort of, burgeoning into the thing. That's looks like one of those things that has happened to these people, and enough for them to seek counseling. So I feel that this juncture at which a couple may find themselves should be, we look, of course, at how best now they can fix this. But I'm saying for all of us that let's not wait till you come to that crossroad. Just like people advise you to, do financial planning for your later years, um, finding work to do or something of relevance or purpose, what you're going to do after 60, say, to plan that in your already start thinking of it in your early 50s. and fix some of the pillars on which this may grow. Same way, I think, in a relationship, oldish, aging marriage, it a time comes where you have to talk about this instead of one of you just taking off well and the other one feeling left by the wayside. Something why we should talk is also because um, why we need to talk about this is also because beyond this stage, there is inevitably going to be a stage when one spouse is going to be alone. And this kind of prep also helps you there at that time also to know how to spend time apart and what to do with yourself, even if you are a couple. And even if you're a couple who's not having fights, even if you get along, to not put everything, that weight on one pillar of the edifice of this marriage. Because a lot of the compensatory bases have gone, whether it's your own parents, your children, your work situations. Those have just quietly, those pillars have been taken away. And it is, the American humorist Kurt Vonnegut has talked about this he says that everybody should, he's being kind of funny, but very real actually, that everybody should join all kinds of clubs because he means to have a broad base of interests because the weight on one pillar, which is your marriage, for all your uh, you know uh, all your good things that you want from life, it is a very unequal and very unrealistic weight to get everything out of that marriage. uh, People may think that now we are retired, now we'll enjoy each other's company, but even that has to be intentional. It has to be seeded early on. What is your idea with each other of enjoying company? If one person's idea of enjoying leisure is to flop in front of the TV and binge watch something, so be it. But the other person must know that, I might do this for some time, but when he's doing that or when she's doing that, I must find something else to do. Instead of, tapping at the edges, moving around this glass room and trying to be allowed to be let in, or be resentful that the person is uh, doing their own thing, as she says. He's resentful that she's doing her own thing. I would say, and I'm sure some of you will agree, that there's nothing more healthy than doing your own thing, having the wherewithal to do your own thing. The problem comes when one person takes it as a rejection of the entire coupledom of the marriage itself, as if so am I not enough? No, you should not be enough. One person should not be enough for the other person only. That is too close for comfort, and life has too much to offer, which does not, you do not have to beg from each other for those things. If you are looking forward to, anything, religious discourse, one person's idea of a holiday is challenging, physically challenging holidays. The others may be, going down the Sundarbans in a slow boat. All of this has to be intentionally discussed. And then I think then you are ready to say, okay, I'll come along for that. I'm not saying that I love to do that, but I'm happy to go along with you for that, or not. Okay, Sundarbans is on your bucket list. It's not so much on mine. Come, let's together find you a tour company where you'll fit in, socially, age-wise, and where you enable each other's, uh, separate journeys, enable them. And all of this will happen, I think, if one does it earlier on, and not when you're suddenly finding yourself at this crossroad. And one person is just maybe better at making those, connections, social connections, not just social connections, but, emotional connections. One person may be better. Often, I don't want to genderize this too much, but often women make that easier, more easily. maybe a lot of men have never been. I mean, I'm just saying this in with the caveat that there are so many uh, households where it's the opposite, where the man may be very, very sociable and the woman wants to be uh, now no more. Maybe she's done it all. She's done the, the whatever cocktail party, shadi bya, being social, doing all the right things, going for all the events, and now feels she doesn't want to. It's important not to talk about it, not to wait to talk about it till it is you have cleared the decks and you have now a blank slate, and then suddenly anything you write on the slate is causing friction and being questioned. But okay, let us look at if you are in this, like Medha is in it, she is in it. There's no point for her to say, oh my God, I should have planned this earlier. I should have made my intentions clearer. We should have planned our retirement years and our time together and apart better. Okay, yes. But what could she now, how could they, reverse this slightly so that it isn't a um, sort of one person feeling left out and abandoned, uh, and the other person feeling guilty about going out and enjoying herself. So one of the things is, of course, that to, again, in peacetime, not when you're feeling guilt, you're coming home feeling guilty, this guy is sitting there in a funk or in a bad mood, and then you bring up this subject. But to say, to very frankly say at some time that, I'm enjoying this, and this that I'm doing. I get the feeling that you're not happy with. Let's fix this. Not how do I fix it? Let's fix it. What would you like to do? What would you like to do? In which I can come, but making it very clear that I will be more available to you, but let's make it not by default. Let's plan down to dates, fix a date night where both of you go out. Intentional again, that word that young people are using, which is not कि कुछ करने को नहीं है, चलो जाके ये खाएंगे वो खाएंगे. All of us have seen those couples, young and old, who are sitting in a restaurant and both are just on their phones. It is so I get personally depressed to see it, really. And there's nothing to say to each other. There is literally it's like a three-legged race, or just you're tied around the neck. So a very joyless thing. And I get that feeling of joylessness, though she's not used the word, from Medha's note, that whatever joy she's getting out of these new connects is overlaid with a kind of pall of guilt or gloom or resentment. She's used the word resentment. He resents it, and then it almost becomes like, you have a great time outside and then you turn yourself homewards with a heavy heart, which is not the way to live. And I think some of this is in our age group. This is the prescription of falling ill, actually, uh, physically ill also, where you are burdened with it's like one of those unsolvable sudoku. Somebody has written up a sudoku which doesn't really have an answer. Then you're just grappling with that, or you're trying to fly under the radar. Today I'll go out, he won't notice. Today he's occupied with this. Today he has bank work. Tab I'll go and meet my friends and come. There's no point. We are too old now, all of us, to be scurrying around and doing something. Jaldi se kar lo before the guy. I'm saying the guy. It can be other way around also. A man feeling guilty about having interests outside. We are too old to be having to explain yourself is okay. You're explaining, I'm going out so and so, I really like this. I've opted to join this thing. I feel good, when I meet these people and come back. It's you're not explaining as in asking permission. It's not guilty explaining, you're just stating. But to come back and in retrospect try and justify, there should be really Now there's not there's no place for justifying innocent pleasures. And I think one way to avoid this thing of justification, where then you come home and it's almost like your dad used to sit in, some people had to explain, 11 baj gaya, where were you? Don't want to fall into that relationship with a spouse, you know. And I think one of the things, of course, if he's, to me, it sounds a little bit like also her spouse is depressed. Depressed. There is a tinge of depression in this resentment that he's expressing and his inability to take joy in the joy that she's experiencing. A more well-adjusted person would probably say, good for you, good for you. And we do know people like that, very, very much together and very much apart, on sometimes on parallel tracks and converging only when they think this is a convergence point. We do know people like that. Here, I think this Mera's spouse, husband sounds like he's not doing well, not doing well. And so there isn't enough grace and lightness of being, where you can not only um, understand what your spouse is enjoying, but seek out other sources yourself. Or say, no, I don't need that. You do your thing. I will do my thing. I don't need human connections. Suppose there's some people who don't need new friends. They'll have one or two friends and then, maybe they don't even need to pick up the phone and talk to them. Uh, might just sit in their own house and, have a drink without being having a drink out of being depressed. Watch something on TV, read something, garden, potter, go to sleep. If possible. Sorry. So sorry. I think as I was saying, one has to plan for this. You have to literally put down the cuttings and seeds for this situation to flower and bloom. And in what form would that be? Which is to keep each other informed. Hey, I'm planning to register for a PhD is maybe a big thing. You will, of course, tell your spouse, but something much smaller. I'm going on an all women's tour to some place, or I really want to try, going and sitting somewhere and trying my hand at writing, going to a retreat. I'm planning to do. I think these should be floated in the air very much earlier, as you are maybe even in your 40s, 50s. So the other person knows that you have plans which do not include her or do not include him, but they are not reactive plans. They are not, I'm so fed up of you, I'm going to go and sit with my daughter for 3 weeks. It's not in that zone at all. So that is one thing. The other thing is to have your own really date night. I mean, it sounds so juvenile to say the word date night, but I'm not meaning it that way. I mean, again, intentional, that word, plans together to look forward to. Let's do this. Um, and it's fine to do. I know some people who enjoy live, say, nostalgia music. The orchestras that do old Hindi film songs, and one of the spouses is not terribly into it, but they've decided that they'll go and one of them will enjoy it thoroughly and one of them will be happy to be there. There's no pretense. You're not pretending to take interest in the person's thing. You are less engaged in it, but in the interest of some stuff done together, you may do it. And then there'll be one lot of things you really enjoy doing together. And it's the onus is on us to find those things that you really do well together, and then do it and not feel that you're compensating for anything. So this making, so that it doesn't, making this date or some project together, even if it's one big jigsaw that you're going to do together, something as gharelu an upay, as just doing maybe a DIY something in the house, or a jigsaw, a huge big 1,000, 3,000 word piece jigsaw. Because, I think to say that it isn't that all your leisure and all your fun comes from outside, and together you're only tackling daily problems. It happens. Our houses consume us. ये fix करना है, वो fix करना है. Our finances consume us. ये करना है, वो करना है. Our children's children, meaning some babysitting duties as a grandparent, consume us. These are, I think it's very stark to be doing things together which are only duties, or which are unavoidable things. Not duty maybe, but just unavoidable. Just the saman of living. It's some of the stuff that has to be done to live. So that, you have no, then you have no energy to, forget energy. You don't have the vibe left between, because you have become now activity partners of a very boring activity kind. So it might be better to find activities you can do together and become activity partners on those things, with a start by end by date. You may never be on the same page in the amount of outside connect you both need. One may not need much. You not just need, you really enjoy it. You may not be on the same page, but the word that she has used about, he's now resenting this. One can hope that this it doesn't come into that resentment. Which resentment comes from what? Resentment comes from feeling unaccounted for, no, in this case. You have not accounted for me only. You're having all your fun. It's very tempting in the heat of the moment to say you're supposed to account for yourself. You're a grown man or you're a grown woman. Very tempting to say, but I think that only frays the fabric further. And my point here is that one then does not wait till it comes to that, and comes up with things to a game plan. How are we going to? Does this sound very as a timetable ridden kind of, or artificial? It may sound like, who sits down and says no, but one should. I think one should. You may feel, who sits down and says, अच्छा बुधवार को ये करेंगे और गुरुवार को वो नहीं करेंगे. Or but I think it matters. Even, all of you must be experiencing this. Just the repairs and the silly demands of a household can consume you, and maybe both can decide that we will give only X man hours to this in our life. इतने घंटों में होएगा तो workmen ये whatever needs to be done, unless it's a big project, but छोटा मोटा stuff, or decide a day only on these days we'll do this, so that you're not hijacked by those things, and then all your fun and games that you really look forward to, nobody has energy for, and then one of you goes out and has a good time forgetting the household chores. So to not get hijacked by your own house, just housekeeping is also important. And whether it's redecorating, whether it's buying a gadget, maybe to plan it to do together. I think there's an old-fashioned word I want to use here called just being courteous to each other. Courteous. Just be courteous about both. If I'm telling my spouse on Wednesday, I'm not here for khana because I'm going to so-and-so's place, I think it is incumbent on the person not to say, why are you spending time with that idiot? There's no point. Yes, you may have a friend who's an idiot, but you still love her. And it is not up for grabs what you're doing, what you choose to do. Why don't you do something more sensible? Why don't you do something more productive? I think that is also a big pit down which we can go if you receive your spouse's idea of alone time, what they are doing, he or she, if you receive it with disdain or with suggestions or with ye mat karo wo karo, I feel those things have to be we are now that age where you need to keep that opinion to yourself, maybe. I mean, unless of course it's something you feel your spouse is putting her foot into something which is time and again done, and you're just warning, but you're not dismissing. This dismissing, I think, in old people, a lot of old people talk about feeling not just unaccounted for, but dismissed. You know, so I'm just saying that in the to be able to, one of the ways to looping back to each other. One is this date thing. One is a way to loop back. You may call each other even in the middle of, say, a girl's night out or a boys' night out, or you may be in the same house but in two different rooms. You doing your thing, he's doing his thing. Check in on each other. I think some of this courteousness, if it's brought back in, instead of being, you're such an old pair that you forget to be just plain courteous. Um, I'm not talking about being fake at all. I'm not. Sorry, this, I don't know. I thought I had put this all on flight mode. I don't know what had happened. 1 second. Yeah. One last thing is, yeah, this thing about touching base with each other. Uh, Little things like, okay, I've reached, or okay, I'm finished and I'm leaving. Instead of just vanishing from the place and coming back only because you have to come back to this house. So again, to demonstrate in some way that we are together, we are apart, but we are together. I think this is something we have to learn to do in our marriages, in our relationships as we age. That's what I have to say about all of this. One is, the most important thing is that don't wait till it comes to this stage where two people are feeling that they are handling their aging very differently. Plan it, and make your interests and intentions known. And in fairly stable marriages, it's not that you're asking permission, but you're letting the person know that I may not be around for X, Y, and Z thing, or in this month I'm doing this course or going there. So you're not springing surprises on people. And the other thing is to make dates and connections with each other, to give that equal importance. It may be not even very regular. I mean, it may not be very frequent, but it could be regular. You may just say, last Saturday of the month, Pakka, we should do this thing. Something that both like, something both plan to do. This is what I'm suggesting, not just to Medha, but to all of us, to take each other into account. Okay, I'm throwing it open to the house. Does anybody have anything, any experience, anything they want to say about this? Whether they feel they've been in it, whether you handle it in a certain way. Yes, Deepali, yes.
I think, I mean, again, it's a gendered point of view, but I think that very often men are often prone to depression post-retirement, having been gainfully employed or in certain positions of authority. To not have people answerable to them can cause depression and resentment. And
Yeah.
if the wife has suddenly sprouted wings,
Yes.
it
Yes.
can be
Yeah.
painful.
Painful. Yeah. Yeah.
But the idea that yes, a career is also not a permanence in
Yeah.
life. There is going to be life beyond a career.
Yeah.
So, the acceptance that all days are not the same. You will not always be this officer or this manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
A certain wisdom of living
Yeah.
in every human being.
Mm.
And plus, the partner giving options that let's go for this concert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fellow wants to come, fine. He
Yeah.
may come have a marvelous time.
Yeah.
May decide, nahi, aaj tum jao.
Yeah.
So it works with courtesy,
Yeah.
basic courtesy to each other.
Yeah.
That yes, maybe romance kind of fades, perhaps
Of it, if at all,
but
maybe. Yeah.
the friendship should remain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for friends to be together, it requires courtesy, always,
Yeah.
always courtesy.
And I think, this business of, it sounds funny to say, but to not take it so personally. It's funny. The
Yes.
man here will say, "How else can I take it? I'll take it." But he's seeing it, her thing in a very binary way. The fact that
Yeah, how dare she have fun without me?
that means
Basically, no?
you're avoiding me. I'm not providing this, and that I think this has to be seeded into the conversation, the early conversation, that we're not expect to provide all all the thing. One person is not enough. One person is not enough for the other. You know, so the what you then want from each other changes. I may not want your company. I may want you to happily wave me off at the door and say, "Don't worry, I'll walk the dog. I'll lock up. You come when you want." Things like that. Things like that,
Yeah.
where your friendship has got redefined, or your cohabiting and cooperating has got redefined of what you desire from each other on some in some areas.
See, I think even early on in a partnership, to be very clear that you're not joined at the hip. You
Yeah.
are independent people with
Yeah.
independent thoughts, likes, desires, feelings,
Yeah.
and yet you are together because you wish to be.
To be. No, and as I was saying, in the middle years, it's everything around you conspires that you do things together. Everything,
Yes,
yes, from child rearing to looking after aging parents to filling EMIs to planning holidays. It's all programmed.
It all takes away from the unit,
Autonomy.
from
Yeah.
the couple.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's important to approach that time when you are going to be just the two of you, with seeing autonomy as not as a threat, but as a big new opportunity that has opened up,
For both.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
that
both.
both can autonomously pursue their own interests
Yeah.
and yet share them with each other as well.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, maybe in narrating or actually sharing the experience, either way.
Right. I do see, I'm sure all of you have seen this happening nicely and successfully in some to some people it may be coming naturally, uh, to some couples, to take on this new the new, what is it called, necessities of coupledom, different changed priorities of coupledom. It may be coming naturally, and some work at it. Sometimes so much I wish that Medha could tell her husband that some of the stuff that I do outside makes me a nicer person to be with. As simple as that.
Exactly.
Huh?
See, if your soul is nourished, you have more to give.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but what do you do with, like, from what I understand, I think she's now already seeing sulking resentment. I'm wondering, it's all very well to say, wait, don't let it come to this. But in her case, and in the case of so many women, it is this, they are in it, and sometimes they can confide in their children, and their children could maybe, help along a little bit or whatever. But otherwise, in her case, I wonder, in this kind of thing, whether it's important to, uh, to confer, to stop the game pause, and say,
Yeah.
let's go, let's just sit down and talk about this, because I don't want this to go the way it's going. Without you make me feel this, I make you feel that. Just not go there, not go there. It's just that how do we, uh, feel happier together. And in that, when you come in with a suggestion like, shall we do this? But to be very careful to not infantilize the guy in this case. It's not a tantrum throwing child who you'll say, let me go for 3 outings with my friend or my, bird watchers group or whatever. And for that, I'll tolerate sitting in on something you're watching. Not that. It's not carrot and stick thing at all. It has to be authentically, you have to come up with stuff that you can.
दिल से पूछो, no? I'm worried about you. Are you okay? Is there something you need?
Yeah.
What would you, what
Yeah.
would you want to do for your well-being?
And that I want you to feel happy for me also. I'm really happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, unless the person is really very cussed and is really in a very, very dark
Foul mood
place.
of some
Yeah,
kind, permanent foul mood.
yeah,
God
where
help.
they are not happy that you're happy. That's a much more
That's
tough
a tough one.
situation. Yeah, yeah. But for somebody who just needs to be talked down this from the tree, kind of saying, "Come down and let's talk. Come down here."
Yeah.
You know. So I think perhaps that Sangeeta, you're saying something?
No, no.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I want to go into thing again. The another little writing exercise to be done right here if you want, or at home. And as I said last time, for the 2, 3 times we've done writing exercise, is this not just a one-shot thing? Take this construct and see where else you could apply it. Sangeeta, like the one you've sent, maybe there are others. I need to convey this because if I don't that, there are other sectors in your life where you may need to convey it, not over and above what you've already shared with us. So these exercises are, they can be these sentence exercises. They can help us to connect with other sectors in which need this kind of attention. Where you cut close to the bone. I need to do this because if I don't, this will happen. So see, uh, today's thing, and I'll put it up, is I must resist the urge to dash dash dash, because if I don't dash dash dash. I'll read you an example. So I must resist the urge to, and the dash 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 has been filled with the urge to correct or shape my adolescent grandchildren's social manners. Because if I don't, they will, the dash after, if I don't, they will start avoiding me or snapping at me, even if I'm right. So this is coming from a person who um, has played a part in teaching simple, etiquette and manners to grandchildren, but has come to a place where she feels, I need to stop because they're adolescents. And now it's counterproductive what I'm doing. And it's going to be, she's not just saying because then I'll be insulted. She's saying they will avoid snap. Okay, I'll feel bad, but start avoiding me. But when the relationship has gone, awry. So I'm putting this up, this dash, dash, dash on the chat thing, and see if you all want to do anything that is applied to anything that is currently in your life. Yeah. And Krish, are you putting the details down?
Yes, I'll put the details.
The phone number to which
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
And the app name for newcomers. I'm just doing this thing. So this is about resisting resisting the urge to do this, coming back from some point where you regularly find yourself going. There it is. Sorry, I think there should be a 2 after urge. I must resist the urge to. I don't. This will come from a place where sometimes somewhere inside you, you know that you need to stop some behavior of yours, which may have worked well, which may not have always been wrong. But ab nahi karna hai isko. This will come from that, where you need to relearn your rules of engagement with somebody. It may not be with another person, even if it's your internal dialogue. It could be, I must resist the urge to, judge everybody by their accent, or I must resist the urge to think of all young people as stupid. It could be something like that, which is an internal thing. You may not be acting on it, but you have the urge to dismiss all young people, or, teach a lesson to every bank clerk or every youngster who's manning some booth. You have an urge to do that, because if you don't, then what comes out of it? So it could be between you and somebody, or between you and yourself, the urge to do something. Okay, Dipali's got one here. Everybody can read this? Yes. Yes. Correct.
I plead very guilty.
Correct, correct, correct. No, 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 really. The kind of man hours one can spend on it is shocking. It's shocking. It's all very
Yes.
entertaining. You get things out of that scrolling which you don't get anywhere else. That is there. But,
It's
it is
totally relaxing, but how much time are you going to give to that?
it's between the difference between chewing gum and food. Literally, literally, I think. It's
Yes.
bubble gum. Because you want to go pop, pop,
Mm.
pop with it, but it's not food. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me tell you what our next theme is. On a slightly more serious note, again, why I said it's similar to today, slightly similar, is that the next week's theme is coping with grief. Seniors coping with grief when you lose a grown child, as specific as that. It's not the grief of losing a spouse, but the grief of losing a grown child. And again, the question that has come has the same thing, where they're at very different places in their, moving on journey, at very different places. And then that's why that is creating a lot of discord and more sadness. So that's the thing. The theme is coping with the grief when seniors lose a grown child. That is next week's. Uh, just for you also to marshal your thoughts on this. If you know the situations like this, just keep in mind. This is what we are going to tackle. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Anything anyone wants to say?
I wanted to say something.
So, Mira, yes.
Yeah. My name is Meera, yeah, and I just want to say hello, first of all. But I wanted to say that in response to your, what you had shared in such detail earlier, was that mostly, I find my own experience has been, with my father, and also other men in the family, that men can often be very controlling in different ways. I'm not saying women can't be, I'm just saying that in terms of personal experience, and that rather than, and just to handle that control, that women tend to take different strategies. They can really be, actually, in my case, I felt that I did not want to do, I did not want to do any hobbies which might indicate to the other person that, so in a sense, I almost chained myself, and at a very deep level, and I did not, yeah, I didn't feel the need to go out. I didn't feel, so there's a different kind of control. And I used to wonder, for example, why other people would not communicate more with their husbands when they wanted to go out. And then I realized actually that in other situations, their husbands were very, very sulky and angry when they did communicate. So I just thought that I'd mention that control is such a powerful a problem in relationships.
Correct. Yes. And for what? Meaning, in this kind of situation, if they would relinquish control, they'd probably have a better time.
Yes.
But they feel that this is part of the, I mean, you feel sorry for somebody who's just, like I said, it's as if the person has climbed up a tree and doesn't know how to come down.
Yes.
It's an old imperative that you're the house and you must control the And also a thing that we've bought into, maybe a lot of people, that as you age, you have to have less fun,
Yes.
plain fun, you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
ho gaya na, sab ho gaya na, you know. Haven't we
Yes.
done fun? Haven't we done this? Haven't we done that? So
Yes, yes, yes. And I just want to quickly share. I couldn't quite manage the chat. I couldn't see chat first. That
oh,
I felt I must resist the urge to comment on my son's eating patterns because I really struggle with that
okay.
because I think it doesn't help and it actually serves to create distance in the relationship.
Okay, yeah. So if you don't resist the urge, it's just going to keep the
Yes.
divergence will be you know.
Yes, it's sort of not recognizing that he's older
Yeah.
and I'm treating him like a 10-year-old. Yeah.
And he's not taking it on board anyway.
No, he's really annoyed about it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to say thank you and
Hmm.
sorry about, yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
have to, yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, okay. So with that, we've come to the close of today's session. Remember, next week is, remember to send that, I want to just repeat this, that whoever sends questions must be fully assured that names are not, real names are not shared, no details are shared with anybody. I myself don't know the actual sender's real name. We use just names to put a name to a situation. That's all. So feel free to share. Feel free to share, to ask questions, or to, in our sessions, to say anything that you feel is germane to what we are talking about. And very valuable. What most of you offer is very valuable, and thank you for that. We don't, the important thing is that we don't, this is a non-judging space, and people hesitate to even write a question, because I know people here who I lived in Marathi. They'll say, Tanavat, you'll think it's porkat. Porkat is childish. No, I won't ask this, because some people will think it's porkat. Nothing is porkat. If it's a question that's come up in your head, it's coming from your 60 plus head. It's not porkat. So I think we should not prejudge ourselves if questions that we want to ask here come up. Okay, shall we stop here? Yeah, Krish? It's 5, and should we close now?
Yes.
Okay, okay, everybody. Bye, bye, and thanks for participating.
Thank you. Bye
Next
bye.
Friday. Bye. See you. Bye.